Welcome to the Shift Happens podcast. I'm excited to introduce today's guest, Claire Engels, Senior Manager for Collaboration Experience and Productivity at Versuni. Claire's journey is one many of us can relate to, navigating the excitement and uncertainty that comes with adopting new technology, especially AI. She's seen firsthand how organizations can move beyond the initial buzz and create lasting change that truly benefits their people. In our discussion, Claire shares practical strategies for making AI adoption stick, starting with small, meaningful steps, building momentum through early wins, and keeping teams engaged well after the rollout. We'll also explore the importance of leadership, clear communication, and fostering a culture that encourages learning and experimentation. Let's dive in.
Shift Happens podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Shift Happens. And today, I'm so excited to have Claire with us in this episode. And she's going to tell an awesome story how they adopted Copilot in their organization and, some of the tips and tricks she did that she'll share with everyone. Hey, Claire, welcome.
Hey, Dax, how are you?
Fantastic. Well, before we jump right into it, we ask this of all of our guests before we start, and it's called the soundtrack of Shift because I love music. I'm sure you love music. So what song best describes the change and transformation that we're going through? And why'd you pick this song?
I picked Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. And for me, I chose this song because it says transformation, that it isn't easy. It is something that needs a lot of focus, attention, and resilience. And I think everything in this song, about this song, screams that.
100%. I love the analogy because I think of that movie, right? It's that underdog story, Rocky Balboa, nobody thought he's going to win. But like you said, he fell, he worked hard, determination, he fought on. And fast forward to today, right? Everybody remembers the song and also his story. And just like technology, right? Who would have thought the internet would be so big? Who would have thought mobile phones would be a thing? Who would have thought we'll be using computers? Remember when Bill Gates said everybody will have a PC? IBM was like, are you crazy? So
Yeah,
very,
that's
very
a long
similar.
time ago.
And now we're in the age of AI. I'm sure everybody listening to us, that's the word they hear every 2 minutes. AI. And some pundits are saying, AI is going to go away, but you and I believe it's going to be here for a good while because it's productive and beneficial. So maybe let's start there. Tell us about your Copilot journey, your organization, and why did you all get started?
It's an interesting one. I think, first of all, I believe that we are somewhere still seeing AI as a buzzword. And where we are with our company, we try to create not only just the buzzword and the buzz, but we really want to move towards impact. So Versuni is, you could say, a small company, so a quite young company. And our Copilot journey kicked off at about January 2024. And that was not the question why we are doing this, but more like, when are we starting, so that is kind of a very interesting view on it. We got immediately the support of the ELT, so the management team, to start get going on this journey. And what we did is we wanted to focus on a specific group of employees, and we wanted to see how we could help them work more efficient, faster, but also a bit more in a fun way. Because what we see is we sometimes still live in a very traditional way of working, and this proves that the way of working is changing. So why not also involve the fun in it, right? So what we did is we committed to a full year of learning and experimentations. So we wanted to create like a guidelines, but we also created a free form, what you could say, with some learning, some training, some guidance, but really for people to get going on this new technology, you could say.
Let's kind of double down on some of the key things you talked about. Because when I saw you in Amsterdam in our Shift Happens event, you shared a lot of good examples. Let me go back to the core reasoning and the driver of this, as you were describing, is really you want to figure out how we can, at the most simplest level, reduce time, right, for everyday tasks. if I spend so much time on working on A, maybe with Copilot, I can reduce it by 50%. Is that at least the initial driver of this initiative?
Yeah. Yeah, so not only help our people or colleagues work smarter, but also more efficient, and indeed reduce time and create value on that. So give them also time back to be able to invest in other things, perhaps more on strategy, creative ideas. Instead of like constantly circling in the same circle. Like breaking that through that old kind of behavior.
You raise a very interesting thing, and you said this multiple times, which I love, is you want to make it fun. You want to make it fun, right? Because traditionally, with any technology rollout, I remember back in the days, companies rolled out SharePoint or Teams, or it's a traditional technology rollout where you attend a training, maybe you show some use cases, and go use it, right? And we know that that method may not be effective for everybody. That's why everybody still use emails and spreadsheet today, no matter how much we tell them to use SharePoint. So maybe can you share examples of how you think about fun, but at the same time, it's still effective and meeting the criteria of your deployment?
Yes, I think that's a very good point. I think fun, let's start with what's in it for me. I think everybody, when starting something new, we as humans are resilient towards change. We think it's scary, we have to get used to the idea. But if you immediately start with the idea and, creating this flow of energy from, listen, this is what's in it for you, but you have to stick to the plan and you have to put the energy and the effort into it. You have to understand what you need to do. So you have to start learning. But whenever you go and you go on that learning curve and you will get the skills and you know what the value is, then it will only increase more and more, and you will be able to create and to adapt it to different workflows and also to your daily work. So it's not only on a personal level, but it's also on a team level, department level, but company level as well. But you have to start small. So I think that is the basic. Focus first on the basic understanding what's in it for you, but how do you get there? Make it very simple in several little steps. Repeat yourself over and over again and celebrate successes. Because if you create visibility, the success is visible.
Got it. So let's start maybe with a simple use case. So what are some of the initial use cases you've introduced and how did you show this step by step, what's in it for me, methodology?
Yeah, so what we started first is basically looked into the amount of emails that people are sending, receiving, and how much time they are spending on going through all these emails, right? So we saw an example of people coming back from vacation and they had to spend 1.5 days to go over all these emails, and it just took them like a lot of time. So we used this example and started playing around with Copilot within Outlook. So, how can it help you summarize your emails? How can it help you to create replies, draft emails? The simplest things in an application that you use in a daily basis. And what we did, we explained it little by little, step by step. And then what we also did, we created trainings around it, ambassadors, champions. And then every week we came back to them. Hey, what was the added value? Every month, hey, if you look back at this month, what did you learn? Where did you find extra time?
What I love about this is two things, right? Number one, it's not like you came up with a brand new concept that people aren't doing and say, go do this, something you've never done before, and go work on it, right? Which we know it doesn't work because people are already busy. If you introduce something brand new that's not part of the flow of their work, they're not going to do it, right? And that's why, again, I go back to history lesson. Like SharePoint wasn't as successful in a lot of organizations because working in SharePoint is a totally different new thing versus working in email or the traditional file shares. But here, what you're saying is, hey, let's take what you're doing every single day, coming back from vacation in the email. Let's make it a little better, right? And not totally different. And you tell me if it works or not. Uh, I love that, right? And I suppose you did it for different use case, be it email or spreadsheets or maybe PowerPoint, whatnot.
That's exactly what we did. And I think what we also made very clear is that we recognize how people fall back in a certain behavior. Even though technology is going so far and so fast, we as humans need to adopt quicker because otherwise we cannot keep up and we cannot embrace all the new things that we can experience with technology. So staying, creating these little step by steps, yeah, tools and also way of working in the end will help you to the first day you will start with just Outlook, right? You will look into this email, you will start preparing. The second day you will maybe do the same thing, but the second week, how does that look like? So the third week, how does that look like? And then you don't even know any different anymore because you adapted it like a new habit
That's
almost.
right. Exactly. That's the thing. And how long does it take to form a habit? I think 21 days, right?
Yeah, 21 days. I heard 6 weeks, but like the 6.5 or something. But I don't know. Maybe that's also a cultural thing, like every country people. That's also, I think, foremost, we can provide a lot of knowledge tools. But how do you keep people engaged? How do you keep them motivated?
And that's the second part where I talked to a lot of organizations and, they would tell me, hey, Docs, Copilot, we did initial training. We did this big thing, change management exercise. But 3 months later, people went back to their ways. Because the key with adoption, frankly, especially today, it's not just about adoption, it's how do you sustain adoption. So when I work with organizations, I talk about, look, for a game-changing technology like AI, you have to have at least 12 to 18 month sustainable adoption strategy. Sure, you may have that initial training, use cases, but you got to keep continuing either. And it doesn't have to be big training. It could be lunch and learns. It could be peer to peer. You get your champions and have them work with their colleagues, right? But you got to keep introducing use cases until it sticks and they start thinking about new ideas or new ways of working. But you have to seed all the initial use cases before people can really think about, oh, I could use it for this, I could use it for that, right? Because it's still not natural to people.
Yeah, and that is actually what this journey is also about, right? It is introducing a tool, but how you start working with it, how it boosts your confidence whenever you get your first successes, and how you communicate with colleagues, and how you spread that knowledge towards others, and how you create your own community. We are kind of good, but whenever we create a group around us with knowledge and experience and we share ideas.
And that's where the energy comes in, right? Like, there's only so much I could do. If I learn from others, I see the excitement, it's a snowball effect.
But what we also learn is actually, you have indeed this great idea about adoption. You have this program, and then when you look a year later, and then you see, wait, some people still feel the need that we have to reintroduce the whole program once more. But then, add the use cases that are tailor made, and then go down on the level that you understand the day-to-day business that they are dealing with, and then create again a tailor-made program that is actually better suitable, and then it clicks. You also need to repeat yourself over and over again because that is just how we work, right? We need some extra practice, some guidance.
That's right. Now, talking about this adoption, maybe if you can share with our listeners, how did you design it in terms of what the cadence looked like, enablement, your champions network? So if you can share a high level project plan, if you may, of how you did all this, I think our listeners would benefit from it.
First of all, in general, we started with a 1 year approach, focusing on a pilot period of 3 months, which was more like centralized around the colleagues that were handpicked actually from different departments to start small, and then also make sure whenever we continued the program, it would be like an oil stain, quickly going through the whole organization. I think it's good to know that we operate in about 100 countries. So we have a lot of different people from different nationalities, but also different time zones. Um, and I think that's also something that you need to be aware of. So keeping this in mind, we handpicked the first participant, but then, we created a larger group. We started with learnings. We made use of, for example, partners who came and gave sessions, but we also, organized our own sessions. And actually, those early adopters were part of that learning program. So we really started with the basic functionalities of what Copilot could do for you. And then over time, the functionalities increased, of course. So we had to do a new program over and over again. So what we did is we created like a learning program with a basic understanding of what can Copilot can do for you. What are the pre-requirements of having, like this licensed Copilot, but also the free Copilot license. You got the free Copilot functionalities. So that was the two separate learning paths. Uh, we evaluated the outcomes and we kept optimizing the learning program. And what you now see is that we are doing it. So we learn from all the feedback that we gathered. We try to stimulate the departments to share also the experience and the knowledge and the first results that they gained from it. For example, HR. HR created job descriptions, marketing communication, huge on this. Help them to how to communicate, or to address things differently with the help of your Copilot assistant. Management was much easier for them. It was much easier to prepare for meetings, and so we kept a very close line with all these participants actually, and they in the end went towards their own team and made sure that they got involved. So that is how we structurally created this network of Copilot users within our organization. And what we now do, basically the program, what it looks like now, we have a digital program and we have a physical, like tailor-made program. So what you see is with the digital approach, every quarter, there are one or two sessions. First one is focused because we have about 6,000 people, but not everybody will get a Copilot license, a pay license, but we still want to involve them in, hey, this is possible with Copilot, the free version, I always call it. We make sure that every quarter we have one session specifically focusing on the functionalities that are possible with, the Copilot chat version. Everybody can sign in. And then we reach out to each, a high level team, so the areas. And then we offer, okay, the basics of Copilot. How is it integrated? What are the security and compliance aspects of it? Which tools are available within Versuni? And how do we integrate other AI functionalities? So that's the first one. The second one is we dive deeper in towards it. We show them how it's integrated, not only Outlook Teams, but also look at the agents that are become available, research analyst. And then we dive even a step further because we have personal productivity, but there's also a big data and how to work with data and how to optimize your data, of course, with Copilot and creating your reports, your analysis. So then we go back to the basis. How do you prepare your data in the right way? And how do you use Copilot in the different functionalities and applications to help you create those analysis in a better way? So we are the most teams make use of huge Excels, for example. We try to not only focus on personal productivity, there's where we started, but we now try to create, hey, working with AI is for everybody, and also working with data and optimizing your way of reporting is also for everybody. So these are the two streams that we are now working on. So we create these tailored programs. And on the digital point of view, we do it an hour per session because otherwise it takes way too much time. And then we have those workshops. And face to face, it's like a 2 to 3 day program where we now also added, hey, this is how you can create your own agent.
Mm. Well, you said a couple of things that's really powerful, right? First, you talk about how leadership is involved and leadership is engaged. And look, any technology or any initiative for that matter, as long as leadership is part of it, they have buy-in, they're doing it, they're involved, the higher likelihood of success. Because I've seen organizations where while leaders want it, they're not really bought in, right? Whereas in your situation, it's very different.
And that is actually also a very nice example, but because I go even one-on-one to our leadership and show them what they can do with it. Even though they hear about it and they're still in the buzz kind of situation, they actually want to be involved and they want to understand. So they are also committed to make this a success. So yeah, what you could say is like the three pillars that we really use is cadence. Make sure that you keep on repeating the same message and optimizing the way you send out this message. Enablement, that is I think very clear one, and accountability. Make sure that there's two ways. We are able to provide you with the knowledge, but AI is an assistant. So the better you understand how you can work with it, the greater your success will be. So it also involves a bit like ownership from everybody who wants to work with AI
Right,
solutions.
right. Now, speaking of, so you put in, certainly Versuni put in a lot of this investment, uh, thinking that you reap the benefits. So let me ask you this. How are you measuring the benefits or the success, or maybe certain things didn't work, right? So what outcomes have you started seeing and what impact does it have to the business?
So first we just started with, quarterly, weekly, quarterly, we came up with this feedback loop. Further along in the journey, we could actually measure the time saving that people experience. Of course, we made use of, basically the admin center of Microsoft, which shows you how the adoption score around Copilot works like. But in the end, we saw that is not really the type of measurement that we would like to take on as leading, because we want to hear it from people. So what we did is mostly looking at uh, personal productivity, how the Copilot license has been used, which applications it's being used in, and also constantly ask people, okay, what are the advantages, what do you see, what do you feel, and then now looking into, okay, which agents have been created and what has this done for teams to optimize their way of working. And then you see, okay, it is easier to find certain information faster. They are able to create reports way faster. The results still, I always say it, you still need to be in control because you are the human control factor in it. So you shouldn't let AI lead everything, but you see that they are able to do the same work or then way faster. And also kind of like a quality increase, we have much more data available to us. So um, for what we also, one of the use cases now, we created an HR chatbot, which actually helped HR to not focus on all these little questions coming in, but mainly focusing on the most important use cases company wide. And this chatbot really helps employees to get the questions way faster, on policies, on everything that they need to know for their personal benefit. So it also saves time for other people that are engaging.
Well, Claire, we can keep going on and share all these stories, but I think what you shared, this roadmap of how to get started, the pilot, and continuing on, at least. So, are you done with that 1 year project or
No,
not yet?
to highlight that, I think that was the start. But whenever you go in these projects, you start understanding how people think and how they receive information because you're working together with them. You're not just, putting somebody out there and saying you should tell them your story or this story and that's it. But we are now much more involved. And what you also see is, in general, we are not an IT company, if I may say so. And that means that we have a lot of different people with different skill sets, with different knowledge levels. And I think that is the most amazing journey of this all, how to get everybody along on this journey. And that requires also a bit more attention left and right, and keep reducing, the amount of messages sent out by email or I don't know, Viva Engage, but really get in touch.
And I love that part, right? Because what you're describing is you're in this journey together. It's not an IT initiative, it's not a leadership, but we're in this together because we want to be maximizing technology to be better. And I suppose throughout this journey, you had to change your strategy, you had to change your technique, right? But it's okay because, like you said, there's going to be tension, just like anything else. But as a result of that tension, you find better ways on driving adoption, or you find new use cases. I'm sure you yourself, you've learned so much from it as well.
I was really a beginner at the start of this, but how quick, because this is also what AI and Copilot can do for you. It's also actually your free library on learning so many new skills, and the only thing you have to do is dive into it, take some focus time, and really start going on it. And I think that is the most magical thing about technology. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to know that it is, available for everybody.
That's right. Well, before we wrap up, Claire, what are your one, two key tips or takeaways for our listeners that are about to start or they're already starting, um, to make sure that Copilot is not only well adopted, but also providing the impact to the organization as they hope it would?
Good question. So, in regards to making a Copilot flow throughout the organization, keep repeating your messages. Create those tailored programs that really give an insight of what your people are working with, and make sure that the use cases that you work together on are more visible. Share that success, because that is actually stimulating but also motivating to everybody. Show what is possible. But I think is the three main points is really like, or the four: governance and action. Don't just talk the talk, but also show what it can actually do. And make your hands dirty. Make sure that you have those sessions, you have those follow-ups, you keep people engaged, you create those ambassadors. Those ambassadors can actually mean so much for the rest of the population, because they can also inspire. Um, Access with accountability. I mean, AI is still something, there are also some loopholes still. So be aware of what it can do, but also be careful what it also, can cause. Um, have some clear data boundaries, which I mean, like, if you create a playground and you don't have any rules to know how to play with the playground, is going to be very messy. So helping to guide them with certain rules is, I think, a very good one. And become accountable for the innovation that you create. I think that's also a very nice one. And in the end, it is indeed a tool, but it's more about a mindset.
That's right. Awesome. Well, Claire, thank you. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your journey. And I'm sure our listeners have gained a lot from this. But I hope to see you in Amsterdam next year. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us here at Shift Happens. That was a thoughtful and inspiring conversation with Claire. Her emphasis on the human side of technology reminds us that successful AI adoption is about more than just rolling out new tools. It's about building habits, supporting people, and creating an environment where change feels possible and sustainable. Until the next time.
Shift Happens Podcast.